Hello, Terry here, Hot Wrench Fabrication. Continuing the work on the 06 Prerunner. My eyeballs are healing up nicely. What an ordeal that was. But I started working on the mini truck bed for the big truck. Making a box inside of here. So I just framed it all out and then put expanded metal in there. That'd be kind of cool to be able to have the dirt and water and stuff just run right through it. Plus you could put bungee cords on here and hook them in if you need to. And then I put little corner railings on there all the way around. So all I have to do is just sheet metal the four sides in and then that'll be done. Cleaned up this little guy right here. This was opened up. So I just put a little patch in there, cleaned it up, ground it down, makes it look nice. I'll probably put like a little patch in here, little decorative panels, make it look nice. But this will be cool because it's going to help cover up, some of the ugliness. By the time I get the sides put back on, put the sides of the box in, the truck sides are on. The spare tires will go back on top of here. It should cover up most of that stuff, so it's going to look nice. But now I'm going to make the sides for it and see if I have enough sheet metal left. Put a little kicker on the end of it there so it folds back into the top of the roll bar. So that's going to be the front one. So I put a little Chevy emblem on there. I'm going to try and emboss that with my bead roller. Sink it in a little bit and see how it turns out. It's a little hard to do the corners, but we'll give it a shot. See how it turns out. All right, here we go. All right, so far so good. Now the hard part is getting the rest of this lined up. All right, that looks pretty good so far. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. All right, we're going to have to flip it around and do it backwards. But we can get this one. All right, so far so good. Turned out pretty good. This one's probably gonna bend a little bit. These really sharp corners are hard. Okay. Not sure why I didn't think I could get that one, but I can.
No, you are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Here we go. I guess it'd be better if you could actually see it. Turned out pretty good. Corners are just a little wonky. I can hit those with a chisel and kind of straighten them up a little bit. A little filing, but not too bad. All right, so that turned out pretty good. I like it. Nice and centered. It's perfect. So now I'm going to do the sides in the back. Get all that done, weld it in there, and then we'll have a nice little storage box in the back. We'll keep plugging away. I like it a lot. Ouch. Stabbed my leg. So I made those two little intersected and then rounded it off over here. This has actually turned out to be a goof up. I cut this piece and then I forgot to chop it off, and I bead rolled it with rounds on both sides like that. And I was just going to do that in the middle of each one. And this was already too long, so I ended up cutting off the part that I rounded off, and it actually turned out better than it would have had I done it the other way. Kind of cool.
Very cool. Cool, 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 cool.
So I just got a little bit more cleanup, a little bit more welding to do on the edges there. But I'm getting hungry. Yeah, I like it. Looks pretty cool. All right, so I got my little covers made. The inside's all done, embossed and everything. Looks pretty freaking cool if you ask me. So customer asked me, oh, do those open? I'm like, well, we weren't planning on making them open, but I guess there is enough room below this to make a box. So creating more work for me, but hey, that's okay. So we'll put a little hinge on there. Now we got a box. Well, got a lid. I'm gonna build a little box down here. We got plenty of room. I can make it really deep, but I'll probably go down about 12 inches or so. And that'll be pretty cool. And then I gotta get these all fastened. These ones are not gonna move. Slap some paint, a little powder coat on the doors, and we'll get this thing put together. All right, so this is what we got so far. Made the little box, or actually I haven't made the box, I made the lid. Whoops. So I still need to make a box in there, which is pretty easy. A lot easier than picking up that button I just dropped. And then I still have to make some mounts for the spare tires, but that's the look. It's turned out really nice. I'm all out of breath from picking these tires up. It almost killed me. These things weigh so much. So I'll probably cover the rest of this up. A little bit of sheet metal on there, just to kind of complete the look, make it nice and iron. But yeah, it looks good. And then obviously this side. This side lifts also. So I'm going to take all that apart and powder coat, paint the frame, paint all inside there. It's a lot of work. But it's turned out very nice.
Wow, it's very nice.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Approximately 10 hours later.
All right, here's the boxes made. Didn't really do much filming on that. It's just kind of a basic box. and starting to paint it, obviously. Slap my first coat of paint on there. And then I gotta kind of scuff up the rest of this so I can start painting all this. Get all this back stuff painted up. I powder coated the little lids on here. And tomorrow I'll put the screens in, and all the little screws, and then put all the little spring plates in here, or the springs themselves. And then I got to probably take this shock off so I could paint all that paint underneath there, but yeah, it's looking good. Didn't really filmed a whole lot of that. I was kind of in the mode of getting it done. Blasted through it, so it's turned out good though. It looks really sick like this. All right, just coming along. Got me a little black on there. Just threw the sides up again. So the little screens turned out pretty good. I gotta trim these down a little bit. They're a little too tall, but nice little cubby hole in there. Actually pretty deep, so just be able to fit some stuff. Obviously a little bit easier than getting into that down there. You can't even reach it, so I gotta take all this apart still and finish the paint. Whoops, probably couldn't see that. Take the shocks out, finish the paint around here and here, and kind of underneath there's some more paint. But I'm starting on the spare tires now. So I put these bars in straight across. And then I'm going to take a piece of 1-inch all thread, probably cut a hole in here and put it down in there and weld it up real nice. And then I just made this, spun that out on the lathe, and that's going to sit right in the middle of the tire, and then put the nut on top of there and squish it down. So I got to make 2 of those. And then I can finish painting all the rest of this up. And that'll be all done, and then I can start working on the front finally. Front is such a mess. I got a lot of work ahead of me on all this rust that's just absolutely everywhere. It's on everything. Just, it's a pain in the butt. Try and scrub all this off of there, but I'm still waiting for a few parts to come in for the engine, but the engine itself is done, so I'm gonna start cleaning all this up, get a little coat of paint, and then clean all this stuff up. Well, I got a new turbo, but clean up what's going to be reused and slap all that on there. So lots of work to go. It's coming along. All right, so this is what I came up with for my little mounting system. Let's start with these little chunks here. Well, actually I started with this. Put these bars in there. Put the spare tires on there, and then figured out where the center is. It's going to be somewhere around here. So I made this little stub, and then I spun this, come on, spun this little nut on the lathe. If you guys are considering being a fabricator or are into fabrication now, and you don't have a lathe, my goodness, this is like the top priority. I mean, a mill is awesome to have, but if you can only afford one, I would definitely get a lathe first. This was an old Inco, which is actually a pretty good lathe. I only paid like $1,500 for it. If you keep your eyes out there every now and then. But you know, just I use that at least 80% more than I do the mill. So I spun these out. So these are going to go in the center of the wheel, kind of hold those centered. So what I'm going to do is, I got to put the tires back on, find the exact center of this. So these will be welded together. And then I'm going to take part of this all thread. Hopefully I could split this right in half and it'll be enough. This will screw down into here. and kind of bottom out and tighten itself up. And then this slides over that. We can do all this without knocking it over. No, I'm not going to. Hold, please. All right, so once I get this screwed into here, right, you see how a screw works. So you put the tire on, and then this is going to slide in there, center up, and then I'm going to make a wing nut basically. Get another big square nut like this and put some wings on there. Crank that down, and then on the very top part of this, I'll put another handle. So the reason why I'm doing all this is because I don't want a gigantic thread sticking up out of here. You know, I could just put it on there like that, but then you have to pick the tire up and set it over the top of that, and these tires are freaking really, really heavy. So by putting this on there, I could tighten the wing nut down and then loosen the wing nut a little bit, and then I'll have another handle on top of this, and then you can actually just unscrew the whole thing and pull it out, and then when you're done, you only have this little nub that you have to slide the tire over. So I was kind of racking my brain trying to figure out a cool way to mount these on here. It had just straps holding it down. So it had a little hook on there, another little hook over there, and they were just strapped on there, and you could still do that as kind of a reinforcement. But those sit out in the sun, they get dry rotted and rained on, and you know, eventually they're gonna end up breaking. So I want something a little bit more mechanical and substantial. So this is what I'm coming up with. Hopefully it works. All right, so I'm gonna TIG weld this on there. I can MIG weld this just fine and it will hold, but I like to practice with my TIG. So I've got it set at 156 amps. Got it cranked up pretty good. Typically the rule of thumb is 1 amp per thousandths of your thickness. So this is, I think this is 120 wall, so technically 120 volts would be enough, but I'm on pulse. So there's a little pulse setting right here that you could set your pulse. This thing has so many different functions, it's really cool. It's a nice welder. But you can pulse it so it kicks on and off, and then you could set how much amperage is on your downslope of your pulse and how much is on the upslope and everything. So it's kind of a neat setting. Some people pulse, some people just do it with the pedal. So if you hit the pedal up and down, that will actually change the voltage coming out of here. So I've been playing with the pulse setting and it seems to work pretty good. So we'll put a little bead on here and see how it turns out. Alright, so I just started off by putting a little bead on there, kind of hold it, work around to the other side. Now, come on, come on. And then you want to get as comfortable as you can, so this is a nice little layout. You have to be able to rest your hand on something. You can't just go all willy-nilly around here without holding on to something, because I mean, you can, obviously a lot of people can, but it's way more difficult. So I like to steady up, get a nice comfortable position, and then do a little start up. And when you start melting it in there, I just do a lay wire. And basically what that means is I just keep the wire in there, and as it's pulsing, it's kind of making those little ripples. So not too shabby. Get a good reading on that. That's kind of cool. Just does it all, almost like cheating. Does it by itself. So you can see the color right here on the end of it. When you get that color in there, it actually means that you're at the right temperature. If it's too gray, you're a little hot, so you can back off just a little bit. But I mean, regardless, it's going to hold. When you're in structural and pipe joints and stuff like that, have to hold pressure. I mean, there's a pretty strict code to getting all this stuff done right. With something like this, I mean, it's, you stick it on there, it should be just fine. And then you hold the post flow of the argon on there. So what the argon does is basically it keeps air from entering into your molten metal. You don't want air in there, it's going to contaminate the, starting to get hot. That air will actually contaminate, so that's what the argon is for. So while it's still cooling down and it's still kind of molten hot, you could get air in there at the last little minute that you disconnect your heat. And you can get some contamination, so you have a post flow. And you can set the post flow on your machine also. Oh yeah, it's turned out real nice. I'm gonna use the pliers this time. Now she's cooking. Alright, all I gotta do now is just touch these corners up underneath it. And this right here is basically called a fusion weld. Not using any more additional filler metal because I already have enough on there. And it's literally just melting the two together. Usually if you have a really nice fit up on a part, you don't even need filler metal. It'll just melt it together. Alright, that looks awesome. Okay. There she is, all purdied up, different colors. This definitely looks nice. Now, like I said, I could have MIG'd that on there and been done in half the time, but you don't get those results from MIG. It looks perfect.
60% of the time, it works every time.
So it's nice having a nice welding table where everything is set up. I got a place for everything. Oh, excuse me. some allergies. Whew, that's a little hot still. Yeah, so I have a little magnet strip back there, magnets over here, clamps and stuff over here, a little bucket for some pins and stuff. So everything, plus it's obviously a nice catch can for all your crap that you put on there. A little bit more organized, I can keep things a little cleaner, but it's hard. And there she blows. All right, here's my tire holders. They turned out pretty cool. So that was the little nub I was making before. Welded that on there. At the 1-inch threaded threaded rod. So got another nut, tigged it on there, made a little handle out of 3/8, and then one more nut, and then I made a little collar. So this whole entire assembly will screw in and bottom out all the way down here. So that bottoms out down under here. And then after you obviously put the tire on there, then this part will sit in the middle, and you can crunch it down with this one, tighten that up, and that's it. And once again, the reason why I made these so long is you can just unscrew these, pull them out of the way, and then all you have is that little nub to kind of slide over. So that'll make it nice. And these are a little too long. I'm gonna wait till I get the actual tires on here. The tires I've been using for mock-up are not the right ones. It's the right size tires, which is 37s, but those wheels go to different vehicles, so we have to demount all those. But yeah, it's turned out really cool. I'm just worried whether or not it's gonna stay tight. You know, with vibrations and stuff, I might need to come up with some locking mechanism to actually lock it down, like a pin or double nut. I don't know. There's a couple things I was thinking, maybe a big washer welded on here, tighten it up, and then I can have some holes in here and put a pin. Chances are this part right here is probably not going to spin. I don't know. We'll see. And I got to make some caps for that, but pretty much all done. So the back end's pretty much bunted up. Obviously, I just have to paint all this stuff still. But that's easy. You take all this stuff apart and paint all this. But the next thing I'm going to do is start on that front end. But I like the way these look. Very mechanical looking and kind of racy. So super happy with that. So I think this is going to conclude this different, I don't even know what part I'm on, 5th or 6th, something like that. This will conclude that, and then the next thing is starting on the engine stuff. So thanks for joining.